One. Oh, it's already here. Damn it.
Too fast.
First it's too slow. Now it's too fast.
This has
Whatever.
never happened before. Literally a new precedent.
It's like when you're driving and then you get to a red light and then it turns green. It's like green, yellow, red. That's like the exact same
Yep.
thing. You're watching the Waffle Press TV Hangouts. My face is back. Yay. And there's like nothing to talk about because all the shows are on break. I don't even think there's any news. Okay. Quick news. Homeland season 6 is being delayed until January. Do you watch that show?
I haven't. When I used to be on Tumblr a lot and people used to talk about it a lot on Tumblr, and then I wasn't on Tumblr anymore, and so now I don't hear much about it. But
I watched the first season and it was amazing. Season 2 got more 24-ish, like action-oriented, and I liked it. Season 3 is slow, and then it has a good ending. Season 4, awesome. Might even be the best season. I never watched Season 5 yet, but I intend to at some point, and now I have more time to do that. So, yay. That's all I got. I like it. It's good. Yeah. So today the topic's Game of Thrones. That's the only thing we had planned.
Yep.
Emily was lucky enough to watch the rest of The Path, I believe.
Yes.
The Path, yes, on Hulu. And then I watched the rest of The 100 Season 3. So, Emily, why don't you go ahead and tell us your thoughts on The Path?
Yeah, so The Path's first season was pretty dang good, and I think that it certainly ends on a very strong note and with the good kind of cliffhanger, like the kind of cliffhanger you would actually desire for a show in its freshman season. So we end with kind of this trifecta of major power players in the game. I won't say who they are, even though if you've seen the show or even know about the premise, you could guess who they are. But there is one character that is on the cusp of pretty enormous change, and it is a major... It's a big twist, but it doesn't come out of nowhere, and so it sets us up really nicely for a second season where, as far as the cult premise of the show goes, I think that we are starting to get into the weirdness and the supernatural, which it seems like a lot of the shows that I've been kind of taking on and books and things that I've been reading and just media I've been consuming has been like supernaturally oriented. So it's really interesting because essentially you have this character who is a denier, and he's kind of challenging and refuting his faith. Of course, the faith movement that the show is based on is, the path. And all of a sudden this character finds himself questioning everything in a really cool way. And then you have Hugh Dancy's character, who I want to become the Hannibal of the show because he's kind of the bad guy. And Aaron Paul is also in the mix and has been super great. I mean, the entire cast is really stellar, and I think that we get to see everybody's strengths. There's a lot of very emotional family drama stuff. There's lots to dig into, even if you're not a person of faith and that's not something that resonates with you. There's pretty much something for everybody to latch onto in this show. And it gets very, very dark by the end, but in a super cool way where it's like, whoa, okay, this is a big paradigm shift. And yes, there's a second season. So, if you do decide to check out the first season, you've got more to look forward to, and I think that the sophomore season is going to be infinitely stronger than the first, which was already super good. So those are kind of my super vague nutshell thoughts, but I really enjoyed it, and I think it's worth your time. And I think that probably if I take on another cult show, it's going to be The Leftovers, because that's still on my list, and it's still just eating away at my brain. So that might be the next one I get into as far as that genre goes. But that's where I'm at with that. So go check out The Path if you've got Hulu or a way to find Hulu shows in illicit fashions. Do it up.
I recently did just acquire Hulu, and so maybe I will give this Path a shot. And then The Leftovers, I believe, is on HBO, right? So
yes, I have HBO and Hulu now, so
we could totally start diving into that one too, because I've been hearing so many good things. Like
Me
last
too.
season got a lot of like 10 out of 10s and 5-star reviews, so I was like, I guess I'm missing out on something here
I
because
just remember, like, everywhere I went, I couldn't get away from The Leftovers praise. Like, there was just this, like, oh my God, like, I can't believe it. And so just those reactions kind of stuck with me because I was like, wow, you don't see that every day, you know?
yeah.
So I feel like something good is coming if I get into that. But yeah, that could be another one we take on, maybe.
Hmm.
100.
And for now, I will dive right into the 100 season 3. The last time I spoke about it, I had not happy things to say because they started being dumb, and there were apparently a lot of behind the scenes issues during the production of the season. I don't want to get too much into it, but the showrunner and some cast members were not getting along well, and then one of those cast members was killed off after having like an entire arc just removed from the first half of the season.
Wow.
I have nothing to say about that other than disappointment for whoever's at fault for whatever happened. That is really disappointing because I really like that character and that actor. But whatever. And then the first half of the season never really came together as a whole. There was a lot of really monumental stuff, and the momentum was there until the big controversial murder scene that was really, really dumb in how it played out. Not so much that it happened. I think they could have pulled it off better. I wrote a huge article on it with my friend Beth Reynolds over at audienceseverywhere.net. Go check it out for my full thoughts on that and why it didn't work. And then the second season, or the second half of the season, starts to really hold on to you and then doesn't let go, and it reveals, because there's a lot of pain in this show. There's a lot about people suffering, and life sucks for these people. It sucks, and they work so hard to survive, and it's very Game of Thronesy in that way, like where everyone can die, but there's more to the show than just that. That's like the surface level like funness to it, the pulpy adventure style tone, but it's a show about overcoming pain, and this season really buckled down on that. Like, I was kind of surprised that they got renewed for a fourth season because this feels like a final season type show, especially with how hard they lean into the sci-fi concepts. Like, everyone starts getting brainwashed by this artificial intelligence, and it wants to bring people together, but it's forcing them against their will to become part of like the sentient hive mind. And it's so geeky. It's great. And it's because all these people have suffered so much, it relieves them of their pain, but not out of choice, not in like a healthy manner. Like, it just takes them away. It's basically a metaphor for addiction in a way. And then how they conclude that story was really, really great. And it really buckled down on everything that made the show so great. Before that little bit, the little handful of episodes in the middle of this season really pooped the bed, and that's a huge bummer. But this is me projecting a little bit onto it, and why the back half of the season is so strong and the best stuff the show's ever done is that, you fuck up, you make mistakes, bad shit happens, but as people, you just keep moving past it and you become better for it. And I thought that was a really nice overall message. And then there's no real big cliffhanger other than just like, oh yeah, by the way, this shit's happening next season. And I was like, wow, that's a bombshell you just dropping like with no big deal during the big finale. And then I took a second to hit me, and I was like, oh no, they're really settling on this for next season. And I'm very curious about how next season will play out. But this was a very, very strong season, very flawed season, and I am very happy that I continued watching. Although I'm never going to forgive them for the dumb thing. But whatever. So yeah, the 100 season 3. I'm tired. Forgive me. It's good. It is great, and at times even wonderful. But it also has some not great stuff in the middle. So if you get past that and you work your way through it, if you can't, that's cool, because it gets really bad. But if you get through that, it's worth it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Not every season that sags in the middle gets to climb back up. In fact, it seems like that seldom happens. So that's a good thing. A little bit of redemption arc for you.
Yeah, like it just really tied up everything so well, and how the characters got to the end game of the season. Like it's such a broad, expansive season of storytelling. Like it literally encompasses everything we've ever known about the show and reworks mythology in interesting ways. And then it narrows down its focus on like less than a dozen characters and how far they've come to this point. And it's so good. It's so good. So I hope they don't have the same issues that they have for whatever reason next season, because when this show works, damn, it's good. It's good.
It's mighty good.
And then on that note, now we can get to the main topic, which is Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 6.
Yes, I believe it is Episode 6. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I have it right in front of me. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, Blood of My Blood. And this episode was not as tragic or destructive as the previous one, but thank God, because I think if you have 2 episodes like that back to back, it becomes too much. And this season, more than most, has become really good at pacing its storytelling. Like they're going at the speed they want to now, not because of they have to fill out this amount of book knowledge for the audience. And I liked it a lot because I needed to breathe. And things still definitely happen. It's not like nothing happened this episode. Arya is no longer with the Faceless Men, which is probably going to turn out terribly. Yeah, Sam steals his dad's sword. Oh, his dad's a dick.
Yeah.
And when he's talking about his dad being a dick in previous seasons and his family being a dick, like I'm glad that it was just his dad and not his whole family.
Yeah, that was kind of refreshing to see how the mom kind of took a stand, and she was like trying to shelter them from the douchebaggery at the head of the table.
Yeah, and even his brother. I assumed it was going to be like, the macho man hates Sam because he's not
like
macho.
All ganging up on him.
Yeah, but no, it was just the dad. He's an ass. And his brother and him were kind of bonding over their shared like hunting experiences, even though Sam hunted rabbits and it wasn't even Sam, it was John. So I thought I like that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And Daenerys is getting back to the forefront of her giant campaign that was kind of stalled out last season too. And it kind of feels like, if I explain it on paper, it sounds like a lot of the same stuff is happening, but it's really not. It just it's going a little slower than the other plot lines, but even then, I don't see how much longer it can stay separated from everything else. When really, I think the only stories that are separate from everything else this season are the Iron Island stuff. I don't see how that's going to connect yet, but that's going to connect to Daenerys, and then the Sand Snakes, who we left off at an interesting point finally, and then they just left them there. But I mean, if you can't think of anything interesting to do, don't do it. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like it was really controversial when anything happened there at all. And so it's like all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared, just faded to black for a while, and now everyone's happy. So it's like, if we go back to Dorne, is everyone going to lose their shit again? Or are we going to be able to make some progress and not be mad about every single thing that happens there? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we got our fill of desert stuff with Daenerys in anyways, so. And then the giant, massive book reveal that we all kind of knew from reading the books is that Uncle Benjen Stark is Cold Hands, except I've heard, I don't know if this was an official George R.R. Martin thing, that it doesn't, just because Benjen Stark is Cold Hands in the show does not mean he is Cold Hands in the book. I don't know who else it would be, but that's another
maybe
topic.
He's just saying that to save his own hide because all the book readers are getting mad.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, if it's taken him that long to write a good final series of books, that's whatever's. But he's got to understand, people's patience only lasts so long. And yeah, that was a really cool reveal. I had forgotten about that character who I was convinced that they just completely exercised out of the story. So that was a big thumbs up for me. I was very happy with that. What did you think about this episode?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. This is probably the first episode we've had in the season where it's really just kind of setting everything up, but it's pretty much necessary at this point, because every episode has just been so action-packed and so relentless. And then especially with what happened in episode 5, it's like you said, we needed a little bit of a breather, but there were still important revelations that came to surface as well. And another big thing that happened last week too was the whole church and state thing that's going down at King's Landing, which is like, oh my gosh. Now I think that Marjorie Tyrell is working the system, and that she is spinning things in her favor now. But I feel like things are about to get very interesting there. Of course, now Jaime is being sent away. Cersei is left to her own devices. Oh, and also, as everybody's talking about now, Jaime and Brienne are headed to the same place, that being Riverrun. Hello! So that's going to be really exciting, and I think that's next episode territory as well. So big things in the works, but yeah, I was really glad that we got to spend some time with Sam and Gilly at the top of the episode, and to like see how there's like this little family unit that's come together in the midst of everything that's going on in the universe, and I'm curious to see how what's going to come of their story, and whether or not they're tying into something bigger. I feel like it's going to be the case, you know, because we're so late in the game that it wouldn't make sense to just have this aside, you know, like that would seem a little strange. And so I think it was really good, really positive to see Sam sticking up for himself, really positive to see Arya sticking up for herself as well, and finally owning up to what we know to be true, which is the fact that she is motherfucking Arya Stark, and ain't nothing gonna change that. So as to whether or not she's going to stand a fighting chance against the I forget what the girl's title is. She doesn't have a name, but she's a title.
Oh yeah, the something or other. Starts with a W, I think.
It does, yeah. And I don't know how to pronounce it or what it is, but that one chick who has had it out for her since pretty much the beginning. And I've been seeing some people speculating about the identity of that girl. Like, I don't know if somebody was trying to say that she was like, or theorized that she was one of Walder Frey's daughters. I don't know. I don't know if it matters, but I would like to see Arya survive this, because again, it's like, why would we be spending all this time in Bravos if not to see something big and crazy happen for her? Or, you know, if she just like dies, then why? You know? So these are, now that we're getting closer to the end game, I start thinking about these things, and like thinking about why certain things are happening, why they're being shown, kind of meta watching a little bit, but it's hard to help. Also, I noticed that when Daenerys and Dario were talking to each other, and they were talking about, you know, what she's going to do with her armies and the Unsullied, and, you know, all these legions of men that she's commanding now. And they're saying, like, oh, if you're going to go to Westeros, you're going to need 1,000 ships. And guess who's building 1,000 ships? Okay, so there's little connection there with what's going on the Iron Islands. So that's going to connect in some way. And then I think we're going to see them charging onward. But I wonder what's going to happen with Tyrion and Varys too, because they're it's like, I have no idea what the longevity of their little reign is going to be, but I hope we get to see them soon. I've missed Tyrion a lot, actually.
Yeah, me too. I have the Game of Thrones is actually between two people. There are all these armies and all these people of various statures across different governments and regimes, but I think it ultimately comes down to Varys and Littlefinger, because of how they maneuver these vast armies and these people of different ideologies and religions. And so I don't know. I think they got they let some of that stuff get away from them, admittedly, but I still think that the political side of the series is going to be between a battle of those two.
Mm-hmm. And we did find out too that apparently Littlefinger was telling the truth to Sansa.
Yes.
So that is one thing to consider, because that was a question for a time.
Yeah, that made me happy. I was concerned. I was like, for sure, oh, bad things or good things, and it's a good thing. Wow, they're really letting you just like, we lost Hodor, and that was just fucking tragic.
Right.
But they're letting you breathe this season, which I guess makes that hit all the more harder.
Right. Yeah, it's like characters are gasp telling the truth. Oh no, what's going to happen? But man, I think a lot of stuff is riding on what's going to go down at Riverrun at this point. I feel like that's going to be a huge thing, and I'm very excited for it. Also, there was a mention of possible trial by combat coming in the future involving Zombie Mountain, so that could be something to look forward to as well. Just for fun.
Too bad he can't get Zombie Oberyn because he has no brain anymore.
That would be exciting to behold. See if somebody could do a little bit of facial reconstruction there.
He just like comes back, he's like all duct taped together, just like his eyes like.
Or it's just like a skull, just like the bottom of his skull. There's just like nothing here, like brain.
Yeah. Oh, that's gross. I feel bad now.
That would be terrible.
Yeah.
Oh man!
And the girl at the house of black and white, her name is the waif or the wife. WAIF. Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe it's waif, because like I was thinking of whites, which are something else entirely, but words, I'm not good with them sometimes. So yeah, it was a really solid episode. We finally got to, like, this week was sort of spent on some more of the minor characters. I put that in quotes because it's like nobody's really a minor character, but they're the ones that are kind of sitting back while all the stuff is going down in the north and everything else. So I think it was really good. It wasn't dull at all. It was, like you said, kind of a relief just to be like, okay, things are happening without me crying and hurling headlong into despair. So that's a plus.
And one final note from me, anyways, is that the High Sparrow, I think, is a very underrated villain on the show, especially because Jonathan Pryce just plays him so well. Like, was he nominated for an Emmy last year? Because if he wasn't, he should be.
Yeah.
Putting that out there. And he managed to defeat 2 armies without a single drop of blood. Which, again, that if Marjorie is playing the game like in a different way now, and I think she might be. I've heard theories that they're brainwashing them somehow.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm open for anything at this point. I just want to know what's happening. And so yeah, that was something. That is no small feat.
It was really intense when, like Jamie comes riding up the steps and they are just facing off, and then all of a sudden Tommen comes forward and everybody's holding hands and cheering, and you're just like, oh my god. No. And so it's like I want to believe that Marjorie is doing something. And the only thing that I really have to go off of, and I don't know if it's legit or not, is the fact that when she visited Loras in prison and she was like, you have to stay strong and like all this stuff. Again, that could have just been a touching character moment and just showing like the vulnerability of these 2 people in their house and all that good jazz. But when I saw it, I was just like, okay, does that mean that she's got a plan? Because she didn't say anything. She didn't say like, I got this, don't worry about it. But at the same time, like, there's something about Marjorie and just sort of her demeanor and the way she comes across that, this is going to sound really weird, but it sort of reminds me of Littlefinger, okay? Because when I look at Littlefinger, I'm like, what the crap are you actually thinking? The same thing happens when I look at Marjorie. And so I'd like to think that she's got her head on her shoulders and she's trying to work the system as much as the High Sparrow is. But it is interesting, too, to think that there could be some brainwashing that's going on because, when she's talking to Tommen, it's like the things she's saying makes it sound as if, like, she's had a genuine change of heart. and you just have no idea. And that's kind of the best part about it, is you don't know when the ball is going to drop and who's going to be dropping it. So I'm very excited to see what goes down there for sure.
Yeah, great episode. Nice little breather. Hope next week doesn't come back with too hard of punches. I think I'm still recuperating a little bit, but
ease us back in.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, just slow. Just let us work our way back up to it, and then go ahead and tear our hearts out, because we all know episode 9 is always the big one.
So. I was gonna say it's always the penultimate episode. That's where stuff always goes down. So we've just got a couple left.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless they pull a hard home on us and they think like, oh yeah, episode 8, normal episode. Oh wait, full on zombie attack. Yeah. And I forgot where I heard this, but someone, for no reason whatsoever, they just had a theory that by the end of the season, the White Walkers would destroy the wall. And then the next season is all about like everyone coming together or trying to anyways, to fight them. So
yeah,
I don't know. I thought that was a ballsy theory for no reason.
Definitely.
Yeah.
that would. I don't know how they would like work their way to that point, but at the same time, like this season has just had such a like intense pace. Not excessively so, but to the point where it's like anything ostensibly could happen by the end. And I think that that's by design. So, I don't know.
Good things.
I don't want to know.
Good things. Good things. So on that note, why don't we go ahead and wrap up? Emily, where can the people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at MMightySophia. That's E-M, the word mighty, S-O-F-I-A, which is also my Facebook and also my Twitter and also my Twitch account, actually. On Tuesdays, I live stream role-playing games like the nerd that I am. I don't live stream from my account, but I'm in the chat and, you know, all the good jazz. So I am MMightySophia in most places. I'm also reviewing Game of Thrones, stuff like that. But yeah, those are kind of my 4 main hubs of activity at the moment.
And you can find me on Twitter at Diego Waffles, on here on the Waffle Press. All a bunch of different shows. I reviewed Shane Black's The Nice Guys with my friend Shannon, and then we also talked about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and compared and contrasted the two and Shane Black's entire filmography, because all of his movies are very similar in good ways, but they're very similar. It's kind of hard to talk about one without the other. And audienceendeavor.net, of course, my personal blog, diegowaffles.blogspot.com. Links down below in the doobly-doo. If you like this episode, like and subscribe. If you didn't like this episode, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something to do like. So thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. Yada, yada. We have been professionally unprofessional.